All right, we are recording because we had some femmes that emailed me to say they couldn't make it, so they want to watch the replay. So we've got that going. For those that are new to FemCity, welcome to FemCity. I am Violet de Ayala, the founder of FemCity. And then this beautiful soul next to me is Lynn Pelzer. She is our COO. Lynn has been with FemCity for so many years. She actually discovered FemCity while visiting her summer home in Florida. She was hanging out with our FemCity Cape Coral members and fell in love with FemCity, and then brought FemCity to Toronto, and then ended up launching FemCity Toronto, and then launching a whole bunch of other communities around Toronto, and then started to mentor new chapters, and now she's our COO. And I love working with Lynn. Her smile right now, that's how she is all the time. She's just one of the sweetest and kindest people I've ever met. So I love spending time with you, Lynn. Thank you for being a part of FemCity.
Thank you. Thank you for providing it.
So today we're just going to dive in to share some of the most asked about questions. And then we also had some questions come through on the forum. So we're going to go through those as well. Even if the femme is not here, we're going to go through those questions anyway. We had, I think, like 8 questions that came through. And of course, if you're joining us live, you can ask questions too. There's the chat feature there, so leverage that. Our intention is to share the community of FemCity and the love that we give and how we help women, so that you feel like you found a home in case you are looking for one. Anything I missed, Lynn?
Nope, you're doing amazing, as always.
Awesome. All right, you want to get started?
Yes, I definitely want to get started. So as you heard, and welcome, I see 2 other people on the call right now, so on the Zoom. I say call still all the time, but it's Zoom. It's years of being on calls, so it's awesome. So today what we're going to go through is the history of FemCity. We're going to be hearing how it's evolved, where it's at right now, what's coming up new. So this is going to be really valuable for anyone who's listening in, or if you're on today. And please, we do welcome questions at the end and go through the questions like Violet said. So I'm just going to kind of moderate going through. Violet, you're going to be rapid fire getting all these things, so I'll ask you and you go for it. And Violet is our founder and CEO. So if you haven't met her or haven't seen her around in FemCity, you'll see her a lot because she is behind the scenes doing things all the time. She is an author, she's a speaker, she's an incredible human being who you know, we wouldn't be here without her and her vision. And what you'll find is that all of the communities have the same feel. And it's very rare, in my opinion, for someone to start a business and to scale it and to still have that same feel everywhere. It usually dilutes down, but it doesn't. It's Violet everywhere you go. There's Violet, people like Violet. So thank you for that, because somehow, you know, that beautiful energy and the positivity and the gratitude and things that are really important to us in FemCity, they have replicated everywhere. So thank you for that. So Violet, what I'm going to ask you is, first, just tell us a little bit about the history of FemCity. How did it come to be?
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for all that love, Lynn. Thank you. That's the biggest compliment, by the way. When people go to our events and they say, I felt love and support, that's the most amazing compliment I can ever receive. So I started FemCity in 2009. And the reason why I started FemCity is because I owned a Pilates studio many, many years ago in Raleigh, North Carolina. I ran that for almost a decade. And the reason why it did so well is because I had this group of women called Chicks in Biz. And we used to get together once a month and we would just support each other. We were all business owners for the most part. Some of them worked for corporations, but we would just come together and help each other. And it was really lovely. And so when I moved back home to Miami, and then I went out on my own again, I was really craving that sense of community and support. And so after going to every single networking event here in Miami that are all amazing, I mean, Miami definitely knows how to have parties and great swag bags, I always left feeling a little bit depleted and feeling like I didn't belong. And so I asked a couple of girlfriends to meet me for lunch. I told them I wanted to start this thing called FemCity. And we would just meet together once a month. It'll be very small, maximum 20 women. We'll just meet together once a month and just support each other. And so those women shared it with others. We had our first event. It was a flop because I had no format. I had no structure. We were just kind of all staring at each other because I didn't know any better, right? So I was like, okay, that was a little boring. So the second time, I made sure we had plenty of curriculum and programming. We had like 2 guest speakers, and then everyone had an opportunity to share about themselves. So we had like these fem pitches that we did. And so obviously I did way too much, right? But at that second event, we had over 60 women show up because those other women from the first event kept sharing it with their friends. And so we had 60 show up. And it was the first aha moment that I realized, or actually the second aha moment, when I heard them all chatting and then the buzz of conversation, I realized this was something special. So I didn't realize it was going to ever go beyond by me. I thought that was going to be it. But as the months went through the year, my son at the time got me on this new platform called Facebook. And I started posting every single picture on Facebook from our FemCity Miami events. And then friends that I had from around the world started asking to talk to the person who's in charge of FemCity because they wanted to launch a FemCity in their community. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. All we're doing is having lunch. It's not a big deal. Anyone can do that. But they saw something more than I did within FemCity. I was just seeing it kind of like from a bird's eye view. They were seeing it like they wanted it in their backyard. So, after like 10 people, when they tell you something like, you need to read this book or you need to meet this person, I heard that 10 times. I heard you need to start FemCity in my community. And the tipping point was in November, I believe, in 2009. I think that was the month. One of our femmes came up to me and said, I drive every month, almost an hour to come to these FemCity Miami events, and you're being very selfish for not launching FemCity in Fort Lauderdale. And at the time, I had 3 kids in 3 different schools. I sat in 6 different boards. I was raising a ton of money for nonprofits, and I had my own PR agency, and I was starting FemCity. I'd never been called selfish ever. But it was that aha moment again that arrived. And so I thought there's something here that I need to look into a little bit more to figure out what they want. And so I did focus groups. I asked, our members, we didn't even have a website. We didn't even have like membership. They were members because they were coming to our events, and asked them like, what do they like about FemCity? How could it be in other chapters? And kind of got all that information and put it in a manual and made it really easy for other women to launch FemCity, and also made sure that not only could they launch FemCity, but they could use it as a platform to get into newspapers, magazines, and leverage it for their own personal brand. So not only would they make money, but they would also use it to promote themselves. And so we started launching up and down the East Coast. We tried Fort Lauderdale. It did really well, but that made sense because we were in Miami, kind of like a spillover in a sense. And then we tried Philadelphia. I had never been to Philadelphia. I didn't know anybody in Philadelphia. And Cheyenne Palma Dominguez, who launched FemCity Philadelphia, did an amazing job. It grew, had the same vibe. And so kind of like we just kept on launching. I'd paused to make sure it still felt really good. It still felt like community. I never wanted it to feel clinical. I never wanted it to feel corporate-y. And we would pause, tweak things, launch a couple more chapters. And that was the start of FemCity. Now we are in over 50 or over 60 communities in the US and Canada. We did have to close a couple of them down during the pandemic. People move, things shift. But that's where we are now. And I just want to add the reason why we started doing online curriculum, because that's kind of like, how did you go from networking to like online curriculum also? Google reached out to us in like 2010, 2011, and they said, hey, we love what you're doing. We want to teach your members some classes on how to get their business on Google, how to go ahead and create business profiles, how to do Hangouts. And so Google became our very first partner. They taught curriculum for our members. And then Yelp also came over and said, hey, we'd like to teach your members, about Yelp and how to get on there and how to leverage it for their brand. So then Yelp came on board. And then we ended up starting to get like Saks Fifth Avenue, Neiman Marcus, Bloomingdale's, Soma Intimates. Now we have Peepers. So now we have a lot of other partnerships that are great, but that's how we started the online curriculum. And of course, we still do that today. We still do online curriculum on a rolling basis, based on the themes and the topics that our members want us to cover.
Amazing. Woo! Woo! I wore my Peepers today. So Violet, let's touch on too about new locations and new cities. So what's going on in that way? You've kind of talked about the history and kind of the evolution of getting to here, and getting through the pandemic time was a lot. Kudos to you, because you really were busy, but we did pivot and we supported the women, and we're hearing a lot of amazing stories now after the fact of how it was so helpful to them, which was what we wanted to do. So now things are getting fired up again. People are really wanting to be together and they're getting going. So we're finding a lot of new cities are wanting to launch. We're going through the process with new presidents. What's coming up?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So during that pandemic, we started hosting more personal development classes. We had some members that said, hey, I'm really struggling mentally with my mental health. So we started doing mental health series and summits. And we also started providing scholarships. So we had so many members that had lost their jobs or found themselves having to do online learning with their kids or taking care of their aging parents. So we did start a scholarship fund. We do have a proper nonprofit that we started at the time so that we could make FemCity accessible for all women, regardless of income or finances. And so we do have that available. We also started a FemCity Girls program that is free. It's available at femcitygirls.org, where we host online classes for our young girls. Those are more based on self-esteem, kind of like the vision, like, how to say no to opportunities, how to know when to say no to opportunities. So we have that as well. So yeah, so what Lynn and I have just experienced is we are finally back into doing, in real life events, which is so wonderful. We spent a week in Italy with some of our members. We did an event in Toronto. We had one here in Miami recently as well for some of our global members. And it felt so nice to finally be in person in a safe way. So you can see the volume, like the last 2 months, we've exploded with growth again, which we hadn't seen. The last 2.5 years, we've been running at a loss every month. It's been a negative loss every single month, but we have, as Lynn said, we carried it through, and it was definitely stressful, like every business owner will say out there. And but now we're seeing so many new chapters coming through, so we're really excited about that. So if you don't have a chapter near you, we do have a virtual program, which is really robust for US and Canada. So we have 2 different ones, but we are also looking at launching more and more in real life chapters, meaning that you have local curriculum and local programs in your backyard. So you can always take a look at femcity.com/locations. And if you don't see a location there, we invite you to apply. FemCity president role is a really fun and exciting way to make a difference and impact, and also leverage it for your brand. So you get to be seen more.
Mm-hmm. You know what else we did during the pandemic is you and I spent time getting educated and implementing our DEI program, so diversity, equity, inclusion. So it was kind of a good timing for us to have time to, we both got certification through University of Michigan and have started our committee, and it's just something we're really passionate about too. So hey, it was a gift that we had a little bit of time to do that and prompting. So, and the new cities that are launching right now. So anyone who's listening to this, in case you know people in these areas, I'll list them off because I've been working with all the presidents. Las Vegas, which we're so excited getting west. Portland, Maine. Mississauga, Ontario in Canada. I don't know if there's any Canadians on here right now. Just me. Sometimes it's just me. You can tell my accent. That's what everyone tells me. So, Midtown Miami is rolling like beautifully, and Bentonville, Arkansas. So that's kind of northwest Arkansas. So those are all new communities that are launching. So if you know anyone there, send them over.
Yeah, and you can see we're trying to track over on the West Coast. So we are really heavy on the East Coast, even up into Canada. So we're starting to move over onto the West. And so what happens, we are all grassroots. Obviously, this is it. This is the team. We have Kyra, we have Sarah. But what we find is that we will launch in one city and then people love it. They're driving that distance, like Knoxville, Tennessee. She was driving to Johnson City, Tennessee. And she was like, you know what? This drive is ridiculous. I'm just going to start my own chapter in Knoxville, which I'm excited to have dinner with the Knoxville team tomorrow night in Chattanooga. So I will let you know how that goes, Lynn.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it. I love Chattanooga. So can you share a little bit about maybe like the top benefits or just how we're supporting women through the membership and the programming?
Yeah, so now that we're back into real life events, I think that's the number one benefit, is that you have access to local events. Each city has a different set of programs. It's based on the members and what they request. As an example, Des Moines, they do more than one event a month, but they also have one for new moms. So moms can take their new little babies and they can network while they are nursing. They also have, evening events as well and dinners. So that's Des Moines. Then you have Miami. Miami has one event a month. We generally mix it up a little bit. So we're doing a Fem's Giving in November. So like kind of a spinoff from Friendsgiving. We're doing a Fem's Giving, and then we're also connecting it to to a nonprofit. We're creating gift boxes for women that are living in shelters here in Miami. And then you have Philadelphia. So Philadelphia does coffee chats and they do lunches on Fridays. So every city has its own feel, but in essence, the programs and the curriculum are based around the feedback from the members and the board of that community. And they create that based on what those members need, because every city is different. And I think that's been also a really great success tip for FemCity, because we have people on the ground in that local community that know that vibe, that know what's needed, and then they create that curriculum. So every city is different. Many years ago, we had FemCity Honolulu, and they used to do their events on Sundays. And I told Britt when she started doing the events on Sundays, I was like, no one's going to go on a Sunday. Like, if we did an event in Miami and it was free and you had like, $1,000 VIP bag or whatever, no one would go. Sure enough, FemCity Honolulu, it was packed. It was one of our fastest growing communities, and they met on Sundays. So every city is different, but it's always going to be geared towards bringing women together, helping them build business, relationships, connection, all in positivity and gratitude, which is a huge part of, of how we start our meetings with a little mantra that we read also.
Yeah, the collaborations are something that always impressed me between the women. And we have a theme every month. So every month there is a theme. So there's curriculum that's kind of based around that theme. So it changes up. We plan it again for the next year. It's Small Business Month for November. So, a lot of things you'll hear within FemCity, either from someone speaking or the worksheet that we have for our groups. That's all about the theme. I'm looking at our notes. If anything else we want to note, how would people join FemCity if they're not Violet? You want to direct, if anyone's listening that wanted to do that, and then we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, and really quick, so the other benefits for FemCity, local events, we also do a virtual networking every Wednesday. Those are really great. Those are a power, like 1 hour. You get a chance to pitch yourself. You also get to meet up to 24 other women that are from Canada, US. That's one of my favorite things to do as a FemCity member. I also love, we have a forum where a lot of our members are chatting throughout the day. We also do a lot of coffee chats. So our members know that when you do a coffee chat with another member, it's about 15-20 minutes where you share about yourself, they share about themselves, and then you figure out ways that you can help each other. Sometimes, like if someone's in wealth management and someone's a yoga instructor, those industries might be so different. There may not be ways that you can collaborate. So it may just be something like you follow each other on Instagram, or you buy each other's books, or you do an Instagram live video or interview on each other. So just figuring out ways that you can support each other so that both of you win. Those are the coffee chats. And we also do office hours. So you can pick my brain once a month. It's kind of group business coaching with me. I've been featured in Entrepreneur Success. I've been an entrepreneur since I was the age of 22. So that's a really great time for our members to pick my brain, ask me for advice. And that's part of your membership too. So it's all included in that as well. And then what was your question? I forgot your question already, Lynn.
How would people join? Just to mention that in case people are like, how would I join?
Yeah, so just go to femcity.com and click on join today, and it'll walk you through. We have a 30-day free trial membership. There's no strings attached. There's nothing tricky. There's nothing like you can cancel at any time. If you go to your dashboard, it has a little button that says cancel, and you can cancel at any time. So you don't have to call 500 times. I did that recently with another membership. It took me forever to cancel it. I called, I emailed, I called again. It took me like 3 months. So we're not like that. You can just cancel. We don't have the luxury of pausing. I know some people like to pause their membership. We don't have that feature. You can just cancel and rejoin again. And I'll add, we have a lot of benefits since we've been around for almost 14 years. So it can be overwhelming, but with FemCity, you pick and choose the things you want. Just pick, 1 or 2. You don't have to do all of them. There's no pressure. We are super chill. There's no aggressive vibes over here. I don't like that. Neither do you, Lynn.
No, we don't do that. Violet, do you want me to read through the questions that we got already? There might be some of the questions that were asked from people that are on now, or should we take the live questions first?
If you guys have questions, because you're here live, and then we'll go through, if you don't have any questions, we'll go through the questions that we received when people registered for this series. Any questions that you guys have? Anita?
Yes, thank you. It's really fun to meet you and see you in person. So I have a couple questions. right now, a friend of mine I believe, is starting the Milwaukee chapter.
Hey, Laura.
Right?
Laura.
Laura,
Mhm.
yes, yes, Laura. So I live in the community next to Laura, which is Waukesha or Waukesha County. So Milwaukee is Milwaukee County, then there's Waukesha County, and then there's, my community is more towards west of that county. So how did you set up these chapters? I mean, is there like a geographical limitation? I mean, being in a different county, will that be an opportunity to set up something in the county next to Laura's?
I think we generally use 30-minute driving time. If it's more than 30 minutes, it's not fair to have women have to drive more than that. So that's generally what we
Okay.
do. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Lynn? Because you work with them more than I do.
Yeah, that's a really great question, Nita. And yes, I didn't mention Milwaukee, but Laura's gonna be doing a great job there. 30 minutes, or sometimes we'll consult with the closest president there just to see what the feel and the vibe is for them, like what their reach seems to be. So, we just want to make sure everybody's happy and that it would be work and be successful. So there's usually conversation, but it's about 30 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be over 30 minutes, especially depending on where Laura is, or they would meet. Well, I do also think that Milwaukee and Waukesha have different communities. Milwaukee is urban,
Yeah.
traditionally, seem more of an urban community, and Waukesha is more of a suburban, small town place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also my other question is, this idea of the girl, I didn't realize that you had the girls portion. Do you, and right now it's a face-to-face, I have a background in serving girls. Are any of the chapters face-to-face, in person for girls?
So we just started that. We did a summer camp many years ago. That's how it started. We did a FemCity summer camp for girls, and it had it was like 6 weeks of curriculum, and then the pandemic happened. Our
Okay.
goal is to have conferences for moms and daughters or
Mm,
stepmothers, aunts,
yeah.
mother figures. That
Mm-hmm.
eventually is what we're working on. So we're just inching our way back in. 2023, we've released our kind of retreats and our conferences that we have going on. We hope to bring that too. Yeah. And that
Okay.
ideally that would be something that we would also create as an
Okay.
ongoing basis. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's of interest just because I used to work for the Girl Scouts.
Oh, I
So
love that.
that's my,
Partners of ours. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. So that part, and I'm also a coach. So that's capture my imagination. Thank you.
Oh, I love
Love
that.
it.
Love that. My girls were Girl Scouts. I was a Girl Scout, and yeah, and we've done a lot of partnerships with the Girl Scouts in South Florida. They've been a really good partner of ours for many years. Love that.
Excellent. And Anita, if you want to talk further about the opportunity in your community, you can email me and we can set up a time to chat, because I'd be the person you talk to. It's lynn@femcity.com, LYNN. Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Exciting.
Anyone
Sometimes
else?
the two chapters, when they launch kind of similar, it's like a really big explosion. So there could be some
Yeah.
good with that.
Mhm. Sister communities. Mhm.
I have a question.
Hey, Allison.
Hi, how are you? So I met you actually at Lynn University when you did the Power of Networking. So I remember you from that. And then thank you, because now I've been able to join via scholarship from Lynn University. Yeah, so I'm in Deerfield Beach. I do a lot of remote work. I do marketing. So I had gone back for my MBA for Lynn, and now I'm actually leaving Deerfield for a while, and I'm doing like the nomadic route, and I'm going to be traveling and working remote. So I'm really excited about that. But I want to know what kind of opportunities I can have with that for FemCity. Maybe you have like a chapter where it is for nomads, and there are people that can have a community there. So I just want to bring that sort of opportunity to see your thoughts on that. Yeah.
Love that. Congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
you reminded me, because Lynn University is interested in launching a collegiate program of FemCity. So I have to reach out to Brett. So you reminded me to do that.
Good.
The best thing for you, Allison, and you may have already joined that chapter, is the virtual US chapter. Because
Okay.
the virtual US chapter, Hannah and Jen run that, and they have a lot of online curriculum. So you'd be able to not only do our FemCity virtual every Wednesday networking, but you might have additional support, because I think they even do like accountability programs. Like they do a lot of other things. So I would definitely go with that community for yourself until
Okay.
you become more physically connected to a local area. If you want an introduction, just email me and I'll send you an introduction to that team.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Okay, let's dive into the ones we got.
Okay. I'll read them off, Violet. So is FemCity primarily a peer-driven group or primarily driven by the founder?
That's a great question. I would say it's a combination of both. So I meet with our members often. We do, sometimes I host the virtual networking. I do the office hours. I'm often on the Facebook group posting activities. I just posted our Friday activities together. So I am there, but I think there is a lot of connection that's peer driven as well. And I think that's very powerful. So I think it would be like a 50-50, unless you're in the global program. The global program, I work with them literally all the time. We meet every single Wednesday together. And then sometimes we do supplemental classes on like PR, how to be an influencer, all that stuff.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. And what are the objectives of the group? Like, do you focus on accountability, advice, encouragement, feedback, results? What are kind of the objectives?
I think the biggest one is developing the relationships, because once you have that, then you have inspiration, you have motivation, you have support, you have the referral network. You can then do the accountability program. But I think if I had to pick one, I think for us, it's to make sure that women have those relationships where they feel that support in a family environment, you know, kind of like that sisterhood. I think that if I had to pick one, that would be it. Because then from that, like if you don't have that, it doesn't matter how many times I teach you how to make $1 million or how to get into Forbes magazine. Like if you don't believe in yourself and you don't have that support, you know, it's not going to go so far.
I agree. And those connections are what build confidence and help women like find another help to get to the next stage. So it's beautiful to watch. How often do you meet? Well, I think we discussed that already. The types of what type of experience do current members have?
Experience. I think I don't know what that means really. I think
I'm not sure.
I think that if I go back to what they say, like just because we did the global retreat 2 weeks ago, and then we did the Toronto and the Italy one. So it's like the last time I was with our members in a group setting. I think for them, their feedback is we're all sharing our kind of like our dreams and what we've done and our challenges. And I think it always elevates the level of where we pitch ourselves. You know, like if we elevate the way that we can see ourselves based on what other people have accomplished around us, and they're like, oh, they're just like us. Like, she's just like me. You know, she was born without $1 million, you know, she was born in poverty, or she didn't go to school, or she didn't have an MBA, or whatever it is. I think that, you know, those conversations elevate us all. Like, oh, that person did it with all these challenges, I can too. So I think that's what I saw the most, especially in Italy. I saw a lot of that, and the global retreat here in Miami, that they just, by hanging out with each other, they all kind of inspired each other to shoot a little bit higher.
Yeah. Definitely.
I have a question about that. Do you think, so going off that question, are most people business owners, or are they working in corporations, or is about, you know, half and half? Or
I would say it's like 80-20. I think we definitely, the pandemic made it a little bit different for us because we had a lot of women that were in a corporate environment that were either furloughed or were let go or decided I can't keep those hours while, you know, doing online learning with my children. So I think we definitely saw a bump in women that came to us that were wanting to start a business, knew that we had the resources for them, the classes, the library. But I think it's still about 80-20. I think we still have about 20% in corporations, physicians, doctors, lawyers that work for firms, a lot of wealth management in that area too.
I would agree.
I have a question, if it's okay to jump in right now. When you say global members, I'm a little bit, I think I misunderstood earlier when I was looking it up, what the global members, so is it a different tier of membership, and how does that work?
Yeah, so we have a local membership, and those are for women that are focusing on growing their connections, their referrals in a local area. So if you, for example, were a hair salon owner, you would probably be only focusing in the Miami area, if that's where you were, or Toronto. Global program is something different. It's more for women that are content creators, teachers, speakers, coaches, writers that are looking at leveraging the FemCity platform to go ahead and expose their brand to more people. And they're looking at collaborating more, like, oh, I have a podcast, I want to be on more podcasts, or I want to be speaking more. So it's just different. It's like, not everybody, the global program's not for everybody, but if you are someone who's looking to enhance your brand around other markets, then that's the program for you. And I deal a little bit more closely with them because I'm also working with corporations that are looking for speakers. I'm also, as speaking gigs come across my desk, I'm sharing it with them. And that's not relevant for local members. Not every local member is interested in that. They're just kind of focused on developing wealth in a local area.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say hi because I didn't say hi before. I'm in the Boca del Rey area. I just signed up on the free trial, so this is really helpful just to get to know the organization. I'm from Ireland. I just moved here about a year ago, and so yeah, so I was misunderstanding for a minute what the global thing meant. But yeah, it looks really great. I was involved in an organization like this back in Ireland for many years, and very similar to what you described, a really just fantastic supportive environment when you're growing a business. And I attribute a lot of my success to the collaborations and friendships and support that I received through that organization. So since I've moved here and I'm now kind of, building my business on this side of the ocean, I was looking for something similar just to get that same kind of support and just, inspiration and motivation from other people as well. So I'm looking forward to getting to an in-person event soon.
Yes, and Boca del Rey, I'm up there often. Melanie does such a great job with her events. They're going to love you so much, and you're going to love them. They are one of our oldest chapters.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
good. Yeah, I know they're meeting in a couple of weeks. I need to sign up for the lunch, or I think it's a lunch.
Yeah, because they sell out. That chapter
right.
sells out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Good. Oh, that's great.
Excellent. We only had one other question, Violet, and it's someone said, I just joined and wondered about international aspect and what type of activities and members are in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, and I actually emailed her directly. So,
Okay.
and I told, because she was interested in launching a chapter perhaps there. So I recommended for her to start with the trial membership in the local program, doing virtual, like I just told Allison, because that will make it so that she gets a feel of the community. But I think at the end of the day, she's probably going to do better in the global program, just because I know a little bit about her background through emails. But yeah, so I already told her that, but I'm going to say it, yeah, in case somebody else is listening to this later on, watching the replay, that's the best way to come in. If we don't have a location near you, just sign up for the trial, hit virtual US or virtual Canada, and just get started in that city, in that chapter, and then you can kind of feel it out and see if there's something more that you want, either the global program or then launching a community in your backyard.
Yeah.
Awesome, we did that. It was only going over 3 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna go over. So that's so bad, not so bad.
We try not to.
Yeah, it's very respectful.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you.
Julia, Allison, Anita, thank you so much for joining us. And we had so many others that couldn't make it. So those who are watching the replay, thank you so much for joining us as well. And we'll do it again next month. So if you want to join us then, we'll be back next month also.
We'll be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Looking forward to
Bye-bye.
connecting. Bye.